Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Justin here, and welcome back to another Clash Royale video. And today, we're going to be going over the King's Cup Challenge, and there are 8 decks that you can choose from. I'm not sure if you can choose from; it might just be random. But there are 8 decks that you can play with in this challenge. And today, I'm just gonna be going over these decks and showing you guys how to play each one of them. So first, we have the Vive Love Sparkie deck by Clash with Ash and Surgical Goblin. Now, this is a combination of a bait deck and a hog cycle deck. It has a good balance between the Goblin Barrel and the Hog Rider, and you have to make sure that you basically balance between using your hog and your goblin barrel. I'd recommend either starting off with your goblin barrel, your hog rider, or goblins, because all 3 of those cards will bait out cards so you guys can know what kind of a deck you are facing. And be careful with your Sparkie in this deck, because many of the decks in the challenge do include Rocket to counter that Sparkie. Alright, so the next deck is Tower Tornadoes by Clash with Cam and CMQ. Now, this is a classic hog deck. It's been rather meta and popular, and it's been seen in CCGS quite often. So for this deck, I would recommend starting off with a Tombstone or a Hog Rider. Use the Tornado always to activate the King's Tower. Obviously, we have the Rocket to counter Sparkie, but be careful with using too many rockets and committing too much elixir and getting wrecked by a counter push. Now, one thing you should note on this deck is if you have a mirror matchup, always rocket cycle, because that's just basically how a mirror matchup will play out using this deck. There's no other way I can really explain it. Just remember that if you have a mirror matchup with this deck, start rocket cycling immediately. Alright, so the next deck is the Vitamin C deck by Orange Juice and TMD Aaron. Now, this deck obviously is a 3 Musketeer deck. However, it doesn't have a pump, so you have to be very careful with how you manage your elixir. Another thing you have to be careful of is the rockets and poison spells that are running rampant in these challenges. Now, the ideal push with this deck would be to split the 3 Musketeers in the back, place an Ice Golem to support one of the Musketeers, and a Miner to support the 2 Musketeers. That's basically how you play it. Just play it like a normal 3 Musketeer deck. Just have to be careful that you do not have the advantage of an Elixir Collector. Alright, the next deck is the Ultra Knight deck. Now, imagine this deck as a Mega Knight beatdown deck. You basically want to pump up as much as you can. However, you do have to be careful for rockets, so I would recommend playing your pump out in the middle so they can't hit your tower. Now, for basically, yeah, just play this deck like a golem beatdown. Don't be afraid to take much tower damage, and basically just build up such a huge push that you can completely dominate your opponents. Alright, so the next deck we have is the Sparkie Master's deck. Now, this is mainly a miner control deck. The point is to cycle miner and poison while defending with your Sparkie, goblins, goblin gang, and bats. Be careful with how you play your Sparkie. Again, there are rockets running rampant in this challenge, and I'd recommend starting the match off playing either goblins, bats, goblin gang in the back, or miner. Alright, so the next deck we have is the Misplayed Rockets deck. Now, this deck is by Chief Pat and Oxalate, and it's basically just the classic bowler deck, except they have Minion Horde switched out with a flying machine. Now, the way you use this deck is you want to use a furnace to try and get some trickle chip damage onto the tower. Bowler can take out swarms, and you always have that mirror rocket to try and end the game. Again, rocket can also be used to counter Sparkie, as well as 3 Musketeers that I stated in that earlier deck. Again, it is a bait deck. You want to bait out their spells, bait out their log, zap, whatever spell that they have. Alright, so the final deck, actually not the final deck, we got 2 more. This next deck is the Salty Goblins deck from the Alvaro 845 and Adrian Piedra. Now, this again is another miner control deck. The point is to cycle miners and poisons. Now, you want to use your Inferno Dragon and Cannon Cart mainly for defense. Obviously, you can use them for a counter push after a successful defense, but mainly just use your Inferno Dragon and Cannon Cart for defensive purposes only. And again, to start off the match, play Goblins, bats, or miner. Either of them will probably force a response, so you can kind of tell what deck your opponent is using. Now for the final deck, we have Meta Maulers by Molt and TMD Yao Yao. Now this is a classic hog deck. It has the Lumberjack, Mini P.E.K.K.A, and Mega Minion, which are all high DPS troops for great defense. Baby Dragon can take out ground and air swarms, and the guards are really good for stalling single hitting units such as the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Now the point of this deck is to constantly use your hog to get 1 or 2 swings onto the tower per push. That way you can slightly bring that tower down to Fireball or Fireball Zap or Spell Cycle. That way you can get a nice and easy win. So hopefully guys, after the explanations of how to play these decks, as well as the replays that I've shown in the background, you guys will have a bit better of an idea on how to play each of these King's Cup decks. Good luck to you guys. But anyways guys, that is all the time for in today's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like down below, as well as a subscription to my channel. And as always, this has been Legend Ray, and I'm signing off. See you guys next time.
Subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel, and leave a like. Subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel.